let's go. Hoisting.
Launching canoes is really about the next 50 years. We have this beautiful story that Herb Kawainui Kane, Dr. Ben Finney, Tommy Holmes had this dream, and they constructed a canoe. They launched one canoe that helped be a part of, some will say, the Renaissance. We're right now at Hokule'a's birthday, at this moment in time where we have to be thoughtful about the next 50 years. The story of Hokule'a's impact of one canoe being launched is really our kind of foundation.
Everything about the va'a, everything about stepping aboard is all about imi'ike, seeking knowledge. I mean, there's just so much there to understand. And one of the biggest takeaways from a voyage is when you finish a voyage and you realize how much you've learned and how much you still don't even know.
So with Hokule'a, that revitalization of being proud to be Hawaiian. It was good to be Hawaiian. It was something that I think she was the beacon of light that really spearheaded a lot of what we have today.
We honor Hokule'a as an ancestor, as a living ancestor, and that she's really our Hawaii national va'a. She's like our icon.
It's not what the canoe's made of, it's what does it carry? You look at 50 years, Hokule'a carried change. It touched a nerve in humanity in a way in which it raised up the issue of justice. Should our Hawaiian children in Hawaii not be able to speak their language? Should our Hawaiian children in Hawaii have to not know their culture? I mean, so with education, many times it's not only what we teach, it's what we don't teach. And so Hokule'a reminded us that we had to go back to who we are on this land, on these islands, as first peoples. Hokule'a carried dreams. I mean, Hokule'a carried beliefs and shaped and honed in the values that why we sail this canoe. Hokule'a gave us destination. It gave us vision. It gave, I think, many people hope. What's really beautiful about Hokule'a reminds us that sometimes you just need to trust and have faith and go.
E poki e kaua ku ma ka pola o ka wa'a. Ho'i e, ho'i la, ho'i mai nā hoa. From the beginning.
So in the early 2000s, that's when charter schools were first coming to Hawaii. And there was an opportunity to make some of those charter schools Hawaiian focused, or utilizing the Hawaiian culture as the basis of the education. And so at that time, Halaukumana Public Charter School was just being formed, and part of their curriculum or their idea of how they wanted their school was they wanted to be outdoors. And so that's how we got Kanihuna Moku. It actually started in the charter school. They control the angle of the sail to the wind, right? So we're on the canoe, and the sheets control the angle of the sail to the wind, depending on where the wind's coming from and where we're trying to go. Captain Malanai says, stand by to tack. What do we say?
Stand by.
Ready to tack?
Ready. Ready to open the main? Move faster, Kuleana.
Make sure you're looking forward the whole time.
Hōkūle'a ma ka wa'a, aia kekahi ano aloha no ko'u mau kupuna, no ko'u ewe, no ko'u mo'okuohau, no na mo'olelo o kēia ʻaina, o ko'u na'au. O kēlā ko'u mea punahele o ka ho'okele ana.
Ready to open the jib?
Ready.
Ready bow?
Fast, fast, fast.
We do get the privilege to learn about all of the main important wa'a in Hawaii, and Hokule'a is of course, the mama wa'a, because from Hokule'a came Makali'i, which is another wa'a in Hawaii Island, and then Kanehunamoku and much more vessels were built in inspiration of Hokule'a.
The main thing is we want them to understand and to learn about the story and the message of voyaging, right? So the va'a itself, they learn about the va'a skills, so seamanship.
One hand on top, one hand holding in the middle. And then I have us kind of position where we're gonna go straight, right here.
They learn about teamwork, they learn about communication, and more importantly, they learn about our history and our connection to voyaging and why it's important to continue and to perpetuate voyaging today.
The danger when we don't teach the right things. Hōkūle'a is trying to suggest that we have to talk about nature, and we have to talk about where we come from. We have to talk about where are we going. We have to talk about the importance of vision and its articulation of a destination that's right for our children.
I think the values of the canoe really speak to where we are today in the world and needing to come together and to celebrate all of our uniqueness, right? And then also to honor Hawaiian culture and to know that our ancestors came here, that they came from greatness and that we continue to come from greatness. And that the ocean is really something that brings us all together, because our master navigator, Maupiailug, came from the island of Sarawak in Micronesia, and he was the one who gifted us with the opportunity to voyage again. Like I say, he gave us back our eyes. So at one time we couldn't see, and he taught us about giving of ourselves for the betterment of the whole and not just for the individual or even just one culture.
Manawa apau ke ho'okelewo I nā wa'a like ole. He iini ka'u e ho'o mau I ka ike a'u I a'oia mai nā kanaka like ole. He wahi le'ala'a. He wahi le'ala'a.
Not only about, the lashing and learning knots and learning va'a parts. It's about, having respect and showing that love. But not only classes with the va'a too. I mean, culture always comes first in my opinion. And, that without culture and without language, it will die out. And I feel like this is important because navigation is just cool to learn.
I think it's important that, as we celebrate Hōkūle'a's 50th birthday, that we look back and then we also look forward and where do we want voyaging to go, and now like with our canoe, Kanehunamoku, that stays home and teaches young people and people of all ages about the va'a, about voyaging and about the values of voyaging. I think it's important that every keiki, every adult, every person that is in Hawaii understands and knows about Hōkūle'a and her legacy.
Aloha, my name is Kuleana from Wai'anae. Had the privilege of being a crew member and captain of Hokule'a. I started voyaging Hōkūle'a in 2001. It was part of a high school program for juniors and seniors created by Nainoa Thompson called the Ocean Learning Academy. I wasn't one of those kids that could read a book and could, figure it out. People would judge me on that. So one day Nainoa was like, hey, Hōkūle'a sails this fast, goes at this speed. We're going to this island. How long would it take us to get there? And we just wanted to figure it out to know how long it would take us to get there, and not knowing, you just did an algebra problem. And so that style of learning was my style of how I could grasp it and hold on to it. At that time, I was going through a real hard time in my life, trying to find that navigator. It was Hōkūle'a that saved me.
from my grandfather. It always inspired me, just hearing the stories of the 76 voyage. One day I want to be just like that guy. 2022 was my first deep sea voyage. I felt like it was a full circle, like I completed that journey that he started. That was an emotional voyage for me. Every day waking up, I just keep thinking about that, like, wow, I get to do what Grandpa did. This is a part of me and my grandfather.
Nowadays, to me, it's a kupuna. It's an ancestor that we get to talk to nowadays. It may not talk back, but if you're listening, it says a lot. We don't have our kupuna nowadays. Hōkūle'a is that physical embodiment of our ancestors. We just gotta listen.
Hokule'a to me is a metaphor. It's the mind of a navigator. We don't all have to be navigators. We don't all have to be captains. But if you can have that imi-ike, to be curious, to wonder, where did we come from? Where are we going? What is going on in my community, right? And using that mind of the navigator, that's what Hokule'a has taught us, and that's what today has become. It's getting each kid and seeing if we can spark something in them.
So that when we're getting ready, nothing gets tangled. So I'm gonna undo this.
As a whole culture, Mama Hoku has been like one of those entities that have really pushed up boundaries and re-sparked a lot of things for our culture. Yeah, to just see a symbol living, breathing today is kind of huge. So yes, she has been that kind of that drive and motivation. As Ohana Wa'a, we all train, yes, in different ways, but we all one Ohana. Wa'a Kumu has amazing other Wa'a Kumus, and so it's like we get to be in this time, like even now, to be able to learn and pass it on.
For me, I did bad in school, but my school was this bay. I could go by myself and I was free and I could learn everything about whatever I could experience on my own. But then somebody launched this canoe. And then when they launched the canoe, I took everything as a child in my relationship to nature, and I took that with me on the canoe. But when the canoe was launched, there was no vision of any idea that this would be a catalyst of change.
Hokule'a was the first canoe built in over 600 years. So, you know, the impact of Hokule'a on other cultures broke the code of just being asleep. Just by showing up, it creates such a vision of why aren't we doing this? This is us.
The impact that Hokule'a has for a lot of these other cultures, Native people, First Nations, is, I guess, a glimpse, a connection to maybe what our ancestors had back in ancient times. It's crazy to think that, you know, we're separated by ocean, because we all know for Polynesians it's the very thing that connects us all. So I think Hokule'a is now that bridge that we have to rebuild those relationships and to reconnect those ancient sea paths.
I remember coming home from that lake and realizing that we had traveled a long way to meet people just like us. You know, we traveled very far to meet people just like ourselves, and I think what we noticed was that it was a revival, an awakening that we all experienced. I think we experienced these things individually, but we all experienced them together.
Our first connection with every community was with the first peoples of each place. And I got to see what Hokule'a does as a light, you know, and some people think there's a lot of things going on in the world, and how does Hokule'a just shine a light on these hope spots? So that was our goal as we went around the world. What are you doing in your community to malama your place, to uplift the indigenous knowledge, you know, to solve the world's greatest problems? So that was the big question of the voyage and what we tried to do.
And what it did, it took us to places and to people and to communities that helped us grow up and helped us, it honed in, shaped our values about how much we can achieve when communities are united.
Kuleana school started because there wasn't a school that really embraced everything that we wanted for our keiki. The dream of Kuleana has been over 30 years in the making. When my mom first enrolled me in immersion, it was that hope for the future that I'd be able to be raised with our language. And having that foundation, I really felt it was important to not only share language, but my love of the ocean. So Hōkūle'a and her journey beginning those 50 years ago, I think a lot of people called it the lost generation, where they didn't have that connection to culture or language. It was something that only happened in the home. So with Hōkūle'a, that revitalization of being proud to be Hawaiian. It was good to be Hawaiian. It was something that I think she was the beacon of light that really spearheaded a lot of what we have today. It was because of her that a lot of the people, a lot of our kanaka were able to rise up together and to make those decisions on pushing for immersion programs, for pushing for language and cultural programs beyond hula. I think that's something that we've always maintained was hula, but beyond hula, what else do we have out there? And you know, that idea that a canoe can do that, it was something that I was raised with.
Other things that children need to know that are going to be in support system of the system that we have, and it's happening on our lands, in our watersheds, in our lo'is, in our streams, on our coral reefs, and it's happening at the heart of within communities. I mean, Kuleana is a miracle. It's a miracle, and they're not the only ones. So Hawaii, to me, in my humble opinion, is the fastest moving culture towards restoration of what's important for our children to have, the tools that they're going to need to be able to navigate a fast changing world.
I think it's appropriate as we are here watching these young children grow into human beings that we're raising kupuna, you know. We have small children here, but we're teaching them with kupuna values that were taught to us.
It's the values that will stay with them. It was the experiences that will stay with them, that will shape them. It's Kuleana Kea. It's for them to be able to see all that's possible.
And Aina-based education, ocean-based education now is emerging out of this kind of movement, which is crucial. This is a catalyst for schools.
It is about providing our students with opportunities so that they can excel and be the very best that they can be. Connecting with Hōkūle'a, connecting with opportunities like we have with Hōkūle'a is truly important, and I think it helps students to experience. And then teachers also experience with community, but also to take that discussion and that learning and that common experience back to the classroom. It brings a different dimension, I think, to the learning.
If you don't connect them, they can't protect what they don't understand. This vital importance of where and when in a child's life are values taught. Where and when there's the connections to nature, because nature to me is the most important language on the earth. And if we don't connect them, then they can't take care of it.
Inherently, the va'a starts on the land. Everything about it starts on the land. You cannot build a canoe like this without a place that's healthy. And so it's necessary for us to keep Mauka and Makai mirroring each other in a sense of health. We need to reshape our education to encompass that. People need to understand the systems that they live within because they're engaging it every day.
I love how we work with 4th grade today because 4th grade is all about Hawaiian studies. And they're going to learn all about the history of Hawaii and modern Hawaiian culture, but they might not ever get to see it. So today was about showing them, look at what is going on in your community. Look at the Malama Aina organizations working in the Lo'i, working to reforest the urban canopy, working to bring voyaging back, you know, so they got a little taste of Mauka to Makai today.
Hokule'a, Hiki Analia, with Ohana Wa'a, it's an experience for them to connect or reconnect. And I think that just raises everyone across our state. And we need to be sure that we provide our students with those kinds of opportunities.
Nainoa Thompson often say that stars are not all that we use to navigate. Nature all around us we use to navigate. And our people were such intelligent individuals and scientists that they were able to kilo and observe nature around them to really build a roadmap of the sky that helped tell us direction.
When you think about what really connects all these communities, to me it's really simple. It's love of home. And from that comes Kuleana to our children. Give them kind of broad education they're going to need to be able to navigate tomorrow that our generations could not. They have a lot of challenges coming up, but you have to prepare them. And those values of love of family and home are so strong, they will find their destination if that kind of education is embedded way down deep inside of them. We're going to move forward no matter what the challenges are. We're moving forward. This is just a beginning of the next 50 years.